Dear students, I welcome you all for this free MOOC course of Economic Geography. Today, we will discuss secondary economic activities and industrial classification. Objectives. In this lesson, we will understand what secondary economic activities are and why they are important for industrial development. And we will learn about different types of industries, especially manufacturing and construction, and a few simple ways to classify them. We will prepare the base for understanding the geographic distribution of industries. Introduction. All primary activities work very closely with nature. They bring raw materials out of fields, forests, seas and mines. But if you think carefully, you will realize that raw materials alone do not meet most of our needs. So, something very important has to happen between nature and final use, and that important step is the changing of raw materials into more useful and more valuable forms. For example, cotton. It needs to be cleaned, spun and woven to become a cloth. Iron ore needs to be smelted with coal and limestone to become steel. This changing form is done by secondary sector. In this lesson, we will see exactly counts as a secondary economic activity and what kinds of industries exist, how we group them and how they are arranged across the space in the world and in India. What are secondary economic activities? Secondary economic activities are those activities which process raw material from the primary sector and convert them into finished or semi-finished products through manufacturing, construction or other forms of transformation. In the secondary sector, humans use machines, tools, energy and skills to change that raw material into something new. The new product is more useful and also more valuable in economic terms. Main types of secondary activities. The two main types of secondary activities are manufacturing industries, construction activities. Manufacturing industries is a process of transforming raw material into finished or semi-finished products using labor, machines, tools, chemicals and power. There are few key features that you should remember when you think of manufacturing. Manufacturing involves a physical or a chemical change in the raw material. The final product cannot usually be changed back into the exact original raw material. Once cotton becomes a cloth, you cannot turn it back into cotton. Once iron ore becomes steel, you cannot return it to its original mineral form. So, manufacturing can take place in large factories, in small workshops and even in household units. It is not limited to big industrial giants. A small family that makes a biscuits or a crafts in a home unit is also doing manufacturing. Manufacturing uses inputs from the primary sector such as cotton, iron ore or timber. At the same time, it uses energy such as electricity, coal or gas and human skills in planning and designing, operating machines and managing production. Whenever you see raw materials being changed into new product by human skill or machinery, you are probably looking at a manufacturing industry. Construction, the building side of secondary activities. Another major part of the secondary sector is construction. Construction includes activities like building houses and apartment blocks, offices and commercial centers, roads, bridges and flyovers, etc. Construction uses materials from the primary sector and secondary sectors. These include cement, steel, bricks, sand, timber, glass, and tiles. Labor and machinery, these include masons, carpenters, plumbers, engineers, cranes, concrete mixers and many other tools. Although construction often creates fixed structures such as bridge or a building and not a movable goods, it is still considered a secondary economic activity. This is because construction transforms separate materials into a new form that has a specific use and a greater value. Construction is also major employer, especially in cities and fast growing towns. Many migrant workers find jobs in this sector. Every new construction project also changes the physical landscape and shapes how urban and regional spaces look. Industrial classification. Different ways to group industries. There is no single perfect way to classify industries. Instead, we use different simple methods, each based on one criteria. In this class, we will use these bases for classification. Classification by the type of raw material. This method links the secondary sector directly with the primary sector. It asks a very basic question: what kind of raw material is the industry using? Based on this, we get four major categories. Agro-based industries. These industries use agricultural products as their main raw materials. Examples: cotton textile, jute, sugar, edible oil. You can also notice that all of these depend on crops or animal products. Many of them work with the raw materials that are bulky and perishable. Because of this, agro-based industries are often located in or near agricultural regions, so that raw materials do not have to travel long distances and do not spoil. Mineral-based industries. These industries use minerals and metals as raw materials. Example: iron and steel, aluminium, cement, etc. These industries are strongly linked to mining regions where minerals are extracted. Power supply, because processing minerals often requires a lot of energy. Transport, to move heavy and bulky materials. Many mineral-based industries form the backbone of heavy industrialization. Forest-based industries. These industries use forest products as a raw material. The examples are paper and pulp, plywood, furniture. They are often located near forest areas or at places where timber and forest produce can be brought easily. Forest-based industries remind us that forests are not only ecological resources but also important economic resources. Animal-based industries. These industries use products from animals. Examples are leather, woolen textiles, meat processing, etc. They depend heavily on livestock rearing regions. Patterns of demand for animal products. In some cases, they are also sensitive to cultural and religious factors, especially in the case of meat and leather. This means that social attitudes can influence where such industries can flourish.